Hey guys, I'm Mikey Microphone, and the microphone is a metaphor for the fact that you have something beautiful to say, but you need to make the arrangements so that you can be heard. Today I want to talk about Siri and a theory about why it is taking time for it to be able to understand us. Now, Apple has a lot of experience developing protocols. And when you work on a protocol that is designed to be very flexible and very wide reaching, it often ends up as this kind of sandwich of sandwiches, where you have one protocol that stacks up on top of a bunch of others. Like HTTP, HTML is a good example of how the IP system can send around information in without needing to know what it is, and then there's a series of an HTTPS on top of that, how the browser can decrypt things by reference to a third trusted source. There's really a huge number of protocols that are stacked on top of each other in order to attain something that is flexible and dependable. This is also a scenario where Apple is trying to anonymize information before it is sent to a server. And they tend to use an abundance of caution when sending around information, because they have both a realistic sense of how dangerous and revealing your information can be, and they also have a cautious sense about how damaging it can be to suffer a breach, and also how tempting data can be. Like the pirates of the web know that the data that Apple has is all encrypted, and so they know that it may not actually be that juicy of a target for them to try to hack. So there's a lot of reasons why the privacy strategy is as robust as it is. And to try to build a Siri interface around those cautions takes a lot of extra accommodations. It may, however, be the case that by taking that longer road, that the end result is a stronger tool. And by taking the time to discover what each protocol needs to deliver and what each one needs to be agnostic about, that makes a protocol that can be used for a longer time before it needs to be retired in favor of something fresher. So I think it's relatively clear to a lot of developers that Siri has this longer view when compared with some other digital assistant type voice interfaces. And so I just wanted to spell it out, basically. Just wanted to say it out loud so that this can be discussed a little bit more directly. And if you are trying to use Siri but you've been frustrated with its slow development, God bless you. It's like the more that this interface gets tried, the more data points they have about how it should work. And by getting in front of the real people and who have real lives, that is how you start to deal with all the sticky situations that arise from real use. I guess there's a a good way to illustrate this nice and quick, just in case it's totally foreign to what I'm trying to describe. When you're writing software that deals with people's address, like 15 acreage way, the first cut at that will usually just store an integer, right, for the 15. But then when you start to handle real world addresses, you'll find that there's sometimes like 15A and 15B. Occasionally there's like 30 and a half. And sometimes there's multiple houses that have the same address. So what you have to do is stack another system of disambiguation on top of the one that actually makes the most sense. Because in the real world usages, there are needs that kind of are more expansive and more nuanced than the typical designations that computers use to identify things. So when you're doing natural language processing, there are many examples of how real world usage is far removed from what a computer would naturally think. And this is an excellent way to understand why the Siri interface has been developing slowly. If Apple is doing a good job, then what you will probably experience is kind of a hockey stick where it seems to be progressing almost not at all, and then suddenly it will kind of come out of nowhere and be very performant. Now, with the magnitude of the task of processing natural language for real lives, it might still be a very, very slow kind of uptick. But I think that's basically what we should be expecting. And there may be issues with how many people Apple can spare to work on Siri because there are so many projects in the fire. But I think that with these lenses of how to analyze the progress, hopefully they will give you some idea of what to watch out for. So